So this kind of is a training session for my EXP team. So we are going to be talking a little bit about the opportunities that are available to us within EXP. If that doesn't apply to you, no problem. You can apply it to your own situation. You're very, very welcome here, and I'm glad you're here today. And I hope that everyone gets something out of the webinar. So just before we start then, let me welcome our guests. So Sean Rademeyer is the CEO of MultiNET. They are the bond origination business that we work exclusively with within my EXP team. And they have really, really done a phenomenal job of servicing the clients. Amanda.bond is the consultant that has been dedicated to our team. And I love Amanda. She's proactive. She gets the job done. She's good with her relationships. And she's a beautiful human being, actually, as well. Hello, Amanda. Glad that you're in the call with us. Then Heno Senecal, who is the head of marketing for Old Mutual. Welcome, Heno. And his colleague, John van der Riel. So Jean and Heno are different sides of the Old Mutual brokerage coin. So Heno is with corporate. He's the head of marketing for Old Mutual. And then John van der Riel runs one of their top brokerages in the country called Van der Riel and Associates. And they are also very key partners of mine. They sponsor the Build conference that I run every year. Check it out. Maybe someone will put it in the chat roll. I think it's buildafricaconference.co.za. It's next year. It'll be on the 14th and 15th of February. It is a life-changing conference. Come to Cape Town for those 2 days. So it's Valentine's Day and the following day. And two of the key speakers are Old Mutual and Van der Riel and Associates. And we're very grateful to you guys for supporting the conference. Thank you. And then lastly, Jade Barkhuizen. Jade is a member of our EXP team, but he also is an expert and teacher in the area of property investment. And he's obviously got experience himself, but then he has taught many, many agents the skills of property investment. And he's going to be talking a little bit about where to start. If you're an estate agent, where to start and why you should be looking at property as an investment opportunity for yourself. Just for your interest sake, and you can look out for this, Jade and I were talking yesterday, together with someone else who's also in the property investment space. I think I'm going to do a webinar maybe early next year sometime exclusively on property investment. And we can dive deeper into the subject because it is a fascinating subject. And we'll do kind of like a sort of podcast interview with Jade and with this other guy and do lots of Q&A so you can really get into the depth of property investment. But Jade will take us part of the way this morning. So yes, to you guys who are our guests, we appreciate you. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your contributions. Okay, so I am going to begin just going through the model which I'm going to teach you, and then we'll jump into the guest speakers. So I'm going to teach you an organized approach to pursuing financial freedom, an organized approach. Too many people do not have an organized approach to the management of their finances and the flow of cash in their lives. You know what it's like because we work on commission in our business. It's not like you get a set salary every month that gets put into your account and you've got a budget and you kind of always work to the same amount. If you just have everything that you make, commissions, feast or famine, it just all gets put into your home bank account. What happens with a lot of people is that they do not set aside money for the inconsistency of income. So they don't set aside money for the lean months. They don't set aside money for inconsistent or irregular expenses. They don't have a home budget, so they don't know exactly how much they need to spend every month. And when the money's in the account, it's easy to spend. It's like when your kids were growing up. For those of you who've had kids, if you gave them $50 at the school fete, they came back with nothing. They spent the $50. If you gave them $100, they spent the $100. Whatever you give them got spent. We're a bit like that if money gets put into our bank account. Okay, so here is an organized approach that helps avoid many of the pitfalls. The last thing I'll say about this before we jump into the model is maybe in the chat bar, I'm going to open that up for myself so I can see. Maybe you can just make a comment about how well did your parents prepare you to manage money wisely? Like, did your parents teach you? Maybe give a like a out of 10. Like 1 was they just gave you the $100, you spent it all, they never taught you what to do with money. 10 was, man, you know everything I'm going to teach you today about separate bank accounts and having a home budget. They taught you how to do a budget and all of that. And what you're going to see as you look at the numbers is most of the numbers will be below a like a 4 or a 3. And if you're like Paul Murray, so that's why Paul is a financial graduate and he does all of the finances for the Build Conference, etc. Because Paul, your parents did what they were meant to do, because he gave himself a 9. For most of us, we were not taught how to manage money and how to create income when we were growing up. So I am now going to I'm going to correct the errors of your parents in the next 20 minutes. Just listen, hold your breath, because it's going to be painful. Like this is very real. But if you want to move ahead financially, this is how it works. Okay, I am going to, number 1, suggest to you that you need 5 different bank accounts. Okay, now the first one says a business bank account. That does not mean you need to go and register a PDY Limited and have technically an account in the name of a company. That's not what I'm talking about. It's just an account in your personal name, but you treat it as your business account. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now, in the day and age we live with banking apps, I bank with Standard Bank. It is so easy to do this. I can actually open new accounts just on the app and it'll immediately add them. And you can even choose what type of account it's going to be, high interest bearing, whatever, 30-day call, whatever the options are. So, and then they're all linked on your banking profile. So when I log in, I can see all 5 of these accounts on my banking profile, and it's easy to shift money around between them. Okay? So that's what we're talking about now. You're going to need 5 bank accounts. First one is a business bank account. Out of that bank account, the only thing that ever gets spent out of that bank account is legitimate, tax-deductible business expenses. Okay, now as you're going to see, that includes a salary you are going to peg and declare for yourself every month. Your salary is a business expense to the business. Okay, that's how businesses work. So salary is included in that. Okay, and then but what this means is when you go on holiday, or you're at the golf course and you want to pay for your round, or you're in Woolworths and you want to buy food for the braai for the semi-final where we're going to beat England on the weekend, you don't use the bank. You don't use the card that's linked to this account. Those are not business expenses. Okay? All of those expenses have to get paid out of your home account, which is the second bank account that you're going to have. That's the top right-hand corner, is a personal or home bank account. Now, this is what you generally think of when I say your bank account. Now, if you don't do this kind of thing, when you think, oh, well, my bank account, the money, where all the money comes and where I spend all the money, this is the account you're thinking of, okay? But what we're doing now is we're separating all business expenditure and personal expenditure, and they come out of separate accounts. Bank account number 3 is tax provision. Now, if you're an EXP agent, you do not have PAYE taken off your commissions. You get paid the gross amount of your commissions, and maybe for those of you not EXP agents, maybe the same is true of you. You don't pay PAYE. If the gross amount after your split gets put into your account and you've still got to pay tax on that money, the worst thing you can do is leave your tax money in your home account. Because what do we do if we go down to the school fete? We spend whatever cash is in our hand. So this is why people get into trouble. At EXP, we're all independent contractors, so we are what's it called? Tax. What's our tax status? We are
provisional tax.
Provisional. Thank you, Monica. Excellent. We're provisional taxpayers, which means we pay twice a year. You pay end of February and end of August. So August comes around, and if you do have an accountant that helps you with this, they say, by the way, you owe 250,000 Rand. We need to pay it by the end of the week. And now there's a huge scramble to try to find the 250 grand to pay the tax. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a separate bank account called tax provision. And on the Standard Bank app, I can even name the accounts like I want them. So I've got an account that's called tax provision. I've got an account that's called business. I've got an account that's called personal. I've got an account that's called charitable giving, which is the next one. I would strongly recommend that as a practice, as a discipline in life, you set aside a portion of money whenever you get paid for the benefit of others. And we'll talk a little bit about how you can do that later. It's been one of the most incredible disciplines of life that my wife and I have done from the moment we got married. We've done this. We've set aside a percentage of our income, and it sits in another bank account on our banking profile. And when there are needs, when there's a crisis in someone's life, there's always money in this account that we can help with. Once it's in that account, we've written it off. It's not our money anymore. It's there for the sake of others. And we've bought people cars. We've helped people get into homes. We've paid for kids' education. We have paid medical bills for people. The list goes on over the last 25 years of the number of people we've helped, because we've got this discipline of just putting a little bit of money aside every month for the sake of charitable giving. I would recommend you do the same. You will be amazed what it does for your life, for your heart, for your sense of joy in life. It's more blessed to give than it is to receive. And then lastly, bank account number 5 is going to be for investment. Okay, now this is where Jade is going to come into his element, because one of the things he's going to tell you, if you want to make progress with property investment, in order to get going, you do need a little bit of cash. There's going to be expenses related to a deposit or the transfer fees or attorney's fees or whatever the case may be. You're going to need a little bit of cash in order to get into the investment side of things. Now, that's what this account is for. If you read any book on investment, you are going to see they teach this. You need to be putting money aside every single month. Monica, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you, if I can find you, I'm going to make you an administrator. And if you wouldn't mind just muting people's microphones when they, by mistake, are making a little bit of noise. Okay, there we go, Monica. Thank you. You are now a co-host. Nokwanda, that's your microphone. Thank you, Nokwanda. Bless you. Welcome to today. So, investment. There's a book which I do strongly recommend. Do I have a copy of it here? I don't know if I've got a copy of it here. I think it's on my bookshelf. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon by Og Mandino. And one of the things that he talks about in that book, it's like probably the most famous personal growth, wealth management book ever written. I think it was written in the 1950s. And one of the chapters on that is all about pay yourself first. So he says you take 1 coin out of every 10 gold coins you get and you put it aside, and that is for wealth creation. You never, ever spend the money in your investment account. You never spend it. If your pool pump breaks, if your geyser bursts, if you crash your car and you've got an excess, you do not take the money out of that investment account. That investment account is for one thing and one thing only. It is for preparing for your financial future. It is for investing in income-producing assets. Okay. Well, I need a new car. Now, I need a car for my business. So, because this is what happens. We are so quick to dip into pools of cash when we need money. It takes incredible discipline to say, no, that is not for a new car. Is a new car an asset or a liability? Let me help you. It's a liability. All a car does is cost you money. Okay. You say, yes, okay, but I am purchasing a vehicle, not for myself. It's for someone else, and we're starting an Uber business. Okay, good. Then it's an asset. Then you can purchase the vehicle from your investment account. It's because you are turning it into an income-producing asset. Okay, now obviously we're going to be talking about property today as an income-producing asset, and I look forward to Jade's little section on that. Okay, so I hope you've got the basic structure now of your financial life. You've got 5 bank accounts, a business account where only business expenses are paid out of there. You've got a personal account, a tax provision account. Oh, and what do you, well, I'll get to that in a second. A charitable giving account and an investment account. That's what I suggest you do. And you have them all linked on your banking profile. Now, question, how does money get into the business account? Because everything, sorry, I need to change my screen. Okay, sorry, okay, let's go. How does money get from the business account once you've made money and it gets paid into your business account? Oh, sorry, that is the point I'm trying to make. Anytime you make money, whether it's other income streams from MultiNET or John from Real and Associates and Old Mutual or any other, property sales commissions you make on your property sales, all that money gets paid into your business account. You give the business account details to all of the people that pay you money. All the money goes in there, in the middle. So then you ask the question, but how does money then get into my personal account so that I can go to Woolworths and buy some burri for Saturday night? Well, that is where you have to have a budget. So have you ever, maybe in the chat roll, you can admit it, open the chat roll so I can see. Have you ever prepared and actually stuck to a comprehensive home budget? Now, the home budget must include, obviously, all of the money you spend every month. It must also account for irregular expenses, so stuff that happens once a year. So let's say you have to renew your golf membership once a year, that's another 15,000 Rand. That's got to get amortized over 12 months. And unexpected expenses, the geyser bursts. You say, well, how do I budget for unexpected expenses? Because they're unexpected. You go through your discipline, you go through your bank statements for the last 12 months, and you take a highlighter, say red, and you highlight absolutely anything that was an unexpected expense over the last 12 months, or as many of the bank statements as you get. Sometimes you can only go back 6 months on your internet profile. And you add that up for 6 months, and then you divide it by 6. That'll give you a well-planned figure. Maybe you add 10% for inflation for the next 12 months for a monthly unexpected expense. What I'm saying to you is your budget has to be comprehensive. Okay. Once you've got a comprehensive budget, you also do a budget for your business, okay? And your salary will be part of that budget. You then pay yourself. Now, this is one of the key insights on this model that I'm teaching you. You then pay yourself the same salary every month into your personal account from your business account. You get that? So you might shoot the lights out one month and do 600,000 Rand gross commission. You do 3 massive deals. There's a commercial deal that comes through. You know what the temptation is? Man, we blow it. We go on a holiday to Mauritius, whatever. That's the temptation here. If you want to become financially free, the first thing you've got to understand is that you're not going to make 600,000 Rand every month. You have to have a budget and stick to a budget. If your income does rise over time, then re-look at your budget in time. Then you can increase your budget. And one of the line items on your budget is travel or holidays. Okay? So you pay yourself the same amount every month. And if there's excess, what happens to it? It stays in the business account. It builds up in the business account. Now, obviously, you can begin to play with this. You might say to me, okay, Stephen, but I've got a bond on my house, and the best investment that I can make is actually to put that money in my bond. Absolutely, do that. But then you're going to need a little spreadsheet where you monitor. Okay, I put 50,000 Rand extra into the bond this month, which was surplus from my salary over above the salary that I declare, so that in the lean months, you can pull that 50,000 out because you're not stealing from your bond. It's money that you was just saving there for yourself. So you need to just box smart with how you monitor the flow of cash. All right, second thing is then tax provision. I can't tell you how much to put aside for tax. I can tell you I put aside 40%. Every cent I make on revenue share from EXP, the very first thing I do is I put 40% of it into my tax provision account. What happened this year is my tax rate was pretty high, but there are some deductions you can make, and your accountant plays with it a bit. And I ended up having about 180,000 Rand excess in my tax provision account. Wonderful. Now away you go. Now take half of it, go on a holiday, take the other half, put it in your investment account for your investments. It's wonderful putting too much money aside. What you want to do is not put too little aside. Yeah, so you need to decide where your tax rate's going to be conservative, and put a percentage aside every month in your tax provision account. Thirdly, charitable giving. There's absolutely no rule on this. You do what you want. You don't even have to do this. I can tell you, we put 10% of our income aside every month and we give it away. And it is the most life-giving discipline. It is wonderful. I thoroughly recommend it to you. But why don't you start, if you're too scared of 10%, why don't you start with 1%? Start with 0.5%. Who cares? Just start with the discipline of thinking outside yourself. And then lastly, investment. Every book I've read, including The Richest Man in Babylon, says you need to take 10% of all of your income and set it aside for investments. It is not your money to spend. You put it aside. Okay. Now, money getting into the account. That now brings us to today's webinar, because obviously we want money coming in the account in order to make this whole system work. And for all of you on the webinar, I'm assuming you're all estate agents, certainly initially the primary source of income for you is going to be real estate sales. That's when you do deals. Now that is going to be income stream number one. But we are going to now teach you 5 other income streams that you can add to your real estate business so that the business bank account gets more funds coming into it. Okay, that's where we are. Now, the 6 income streams, the 5 others that we're going to be talking about are: number 1, bond commission. And we are going to be talking to MultiNET about that. So again, guys, if you are here as a guest this morning, you're not a member of my EXP group, I can't guarantee to you that your company allows you to keep bond commission. I know there's some companies that don't. The principal keeps it all. Maybe you've got to split the bond commission with your principal, 50-50 or whatever it is. With EXP, the agents, all of us keep the bond commission 100%. They don't split it with the company. And so it's a wonderful source of income for those of you who are in my EXP team. If you're not using MultiNET as your bond originator, I think you're leaving money on the table. Second one is financial services commissions. This was something that I'd never really thought of until I was introduced to Jean at Fanariel & Associates. One of my top agents, Liz Nanel, introduced me to him and said, you need to speak to these guys. They provide incredible service to our clients. They save them enormous amounts of money on their premiums, and they are willing to share some of the premium income with us as agents, which is unbelievable. So I look forward to hearing from Heno later, from Old Mutual. The fourth one is real estate investments. Can't wait to hear Jade talk us through the opportunities to develop income on real estate. The fifth one is ownership or stock awards. So whatever company you're with, I would hope you have the opportunity of getting ownership in the business. You know, ownership is where it's at. Obviously, for those of us who are EXP agents, we get given stock awards. So EXP is listed on the NASDAQ stock exchange, and we get given shares in the company for doing what you're already doing at your current company. And then last one is revenue share. This is the most incredible opportunity that EXP provides us. This is the reason EXP has grown so fast around the world, is because of the 20% to 25% split that they take on their agents' commissions, which is not a bad split, by the way. If you're keeping 70% plus up to 96% of your commissions, they take the split that they take from their agents worldwide, and they then pay it back, a whole bunch of it. They pay it back into the community of agents. They actually share the revenues of the company with the agents. And I can tell you, just with the revenue sharing of EXP, I've set myself free in the last 3 years, financially free in 3 years. You find me an opportunity that can do that. It is mind-blowing. So revenue share is an incredible opportunity. And so we're going to hear from, I'm not going to talk about EXP's model on the real estate sales side. I've told you the split is 71-29. There's a 150,000 Rand cap, and then you earn 96% of your commission after that. If you want more detail, go to the website. Maybe someone can put it in the chat roll, themodelexplained.co.za. There's a 59-minute video there where I explain EXP's model. Go and do yourself a favor and watch it. It'll blow your mind. So that's on the real estate sales side. We're going to hand over to Sean in a second to talk about BondCom. And then Heno's going to talk us through the financial services side, Jade on property investment, and then stock awards and revenue share. Again, I'm not going to go into that today, but you can check the Model Explained video, and it will, not explained, explained with a D. Thanks, Monica. And that video will explain how the stock awards work and how the revenue share system works. Okay, so that's all I wanted to share. I am now going to stop sharing my screen so that Sean can share his, if you want to. Otherwise, Sean, you can just chat through what you've got. And again, we appreciate your time with us. So, Sean, over to you from MultiNET.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. I hope you can hear me. So I'm sitting here in Champagne, as I said. I had the privilege of coming to France to watch the Springboks play the French. And you all would know that that was a successful game. I want to talk a little bit about what I learned here in France, and specifically about revenue share. And I came across a company while I was traveling here in the Champagne region called LVMH. Quite interesting. It stands for Louis Vuitton and Moet Hennessy. And this is an organization that's gone and looked at the revenue share model on a customer that spends their money on luxury goods. Can you believe it? So they have gone and they said, let's identify a customer that is a high net worth, high individual, and where does he spend his money? And they have gone and invested in all the companies that this customer actually buys goods from to ensure that they make a revenue on every single one of these aspects. And I'm going to show you how it looks. Can't share my screen there. Wonder why that happened. I'll have a look now. So Louis Vuitton and Hennessy bought a champagne business. So all the champagnes that you see in the world, from Veuve to Dom Perignon, is owned by this company. Then, of course, they have their businesses in luxury goods. So then they have companies that actually own U-Bolt, Louis Vuitton handbags, all of it. So what they've done is they've gone and said, where do we make a revenue of each of the spending habits of this customer? And they are now the largest luxury brands company in the world. Something that I learned over the last 2 days. Incredible. How does that compare to real estate for us? Well, real estate and many of the origination businesses in South Africa has done exactly the same. So if you look at companies like Uber and Betterbond, they went and they said, well, a customer has certain needs around the home, and we need to earn on each one of those needs. So one of the first needs was financial services. They need a bond. And because now we own the origination business, we earn from the bond commission. The second one was rentals. So they went and they invested in PayProp. And now they earn on a PayProp every time there's a rental. The third one was search. So they invested in private property. The second one was investment. So they invested in insurance companies. The fifth one was customers putting their money in investment accounts when they're transferring their fees, where the attorneys normally used to earn on their trust account. Now they have a company like that. And that is exactly what successful big businesses do. They make a little fee of each one of those aspects in the business. So what we've done with EXP, and I'll get back to the bond commission, is we are giving the EXP agents, where we are as MultiNET an originator, we are sharing a portion of that revenue, and a significant portion, with the EXP agents. And EXP head office takes zero funds from that. They literally give every single bit of what they earn in bond commission straight to the agent. And that's why the 0.05% is significantly higher than what normal agents earn in the market. Normal agents will earn 0.1 or 0.15 or 0.2% of the maximum. But because EXP's model works differently, they give 100% of the second gross directly to the EXP agents, which is incredible. So that's the story that we have. And that's why I wanted to speak about MultiNET, and why Steve also said, support MultiNET, because that supports your income in your business, which eventually supports all your other bank accounts that Steve spoke about. I think the other day, Steve, we paid 40,000 Rand out to one of your EXP agents on one single deal. Just an incredible amount of money.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, that was Brad Neal. He was over the moon. 40 grand bond com. I think it was a 9 million Rand bond. And that was without the commission on the sale. And I know many of you guys on the group have also made bond com on your bond. So Amanda, I know Amanda, you are here. Don't you want to just put your camera on just for 2 seconds and say hi and tell us how we can get hold of you, and do you service agents all over the country? What are some of the kind of the technicalities or the details around using you guys? Maybe Amanda can't put her camera and her microphone on. Okay, so I'll answer the question for her. It doesn't matter where you are in the country. We're a cloud-based business as it is. Amanda will make contact with, she's brilliant actually. She makes contact with every single person that joins our group, which is a lot of people. It's sort of between 40 and 60 agents a month are joining our EXP group now. And she makes contact with all of them. She introduces herself. She makes sure they've got her contact details. So she is amazing. And is there anybody here who's recently used Amanda on a deal and you want to just give us your little testimony? That would be helpful if there is someone. But otherwise, I did see Amanda did put her contact details in the chat roll. You can get it from there. Okay, anything else on the bond commission? Any questions for Sean? Stick up a hand. There's a little hand icon at the bottom of the screen. Just click that, and we can do a little Q&A with Sean now, just for a couple of minutes, and then we'll move on to Heno and John. Jeremy, go for it.
Hi, Sean. Hi, Steve. Hi, everyone. Sean, just a comment that I noticed popped up with regards to MultiNET paying commissions, even if the client eventually buys through another agent and agency, but was initially referred to by you. Could you maybe just elaborate on that quickly?
Sure, Jeremy. Yeah, we've got quite a. Can you guys hear me? Perfect. We've got a strict rule on that, and the way that we work is if the agent is introduced by an agency that has a contract with us and buys through another agency that is not affiliated to MultiNET, let's say it's a Remax or a Chaz or a Pam Golding, we then cover the commission to the introducing agency. Let's say it's an EXP agent. But let's say the EXP agent introduces the customer, then the customer goes and he purchases through a channel that's with MultiNET, and that channel refers that customer to their consultant. Then our rule is the first consultant to get the OTP, the agent that has introduced that customer gets the payment. So it just means that if it's an existing, and the same with EXP agents. Let's say, Jeremy, you have a customer that's buying through you, but they've already done a pre-qualification through one of another agency with us. Whoever gets that OTP first and submits the deal, that's where the deal then gets paid out to.
Okay, understood. Thank you, Sean.
Super, thanks, Sean. Thank you, Jeremy. Any other questions before we move on, guys? Okay, excellent.
Yeah, Steve, so just the last point. A lot of you will see that MultiNET talks a lot about the independence of origination business and why we're independent. And the strange thing is, we were traveling again yesterday, drinking some champagne around this region, and a lot of the small champagne houses had this independent under their name. So Charles Block or Charles Ricoeur, whatever, independent. And what we asked them, what does it mean? And it means that they are not owned by this big organization, this LVMN. And they are a family business looking after some of these champagne houses are six generations, mother and daughter, father and son, the 6 generations running these champagne houses. And all they say is that they are there to look after the conglomerate of this industry. They do not want to be part of one person owning everything. And that's the same thing as we at MultiNET. We are an independent that wants to ensure that every single independent estate agent, and EXP is one of them in South Africa, is successful and gets the benefit out of financing. And that's why we've given the commission that we do to EXP. So that's the last thing I want to say, and it's just so amazing to be here. Thank you, Stephen.
Super, Sean. We so appreciate you, and we appreciate our relationship with you. Thank you so much. Cool. So,
Well,
Jade, over to you. Thank you, man.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Steve. It's always a privilege to be on your webinars and being one of the speakers today. Always love talking about property investing. It's pretty much all I talk about. So when my wife quit her corporate job last year and joined me in the property game, I was so happy because she was always saying to me, "Oh, you never talk about anything else." So now I can talk to her about property all the time. By the way, my name is Jade Barkhuizen. I'm just on my wife's profile here, and I see she hasn't changed her surname, so I've got a little bone to pick with her. Anyway, so let's get into it, guys. So obviously, most of us on the call here are estate agents, and I'm quite passionate, obviously, about property investing, but specifically with estate agents investing in property, because if you're selling property to other people, surely you should be buying properties yourself. You know, how are you giving investment advice to buyers if you're not actually investing in property yourself? So I feel quite strongly about that, and hopefully in the next 15 or 20 minutes, I'm going to be able to share some insights into how you guys can get started into property investing if you've never bought a property before. There might be some of you that have a portfolio already. I can talk a little bit to that as well, but mostly I'm going to talk to people that have not bought investment properties, specifically investment properties before. Just a quick background about myself. So I've been an estate agent since 2019 only. I was previously in the motor trade. I ran 2 franchise businesses from 2010 to 2018. And during that period, I came across property investing. Back in about 2013 is when I bought my first little 2-bedroom apartment. And I only did that because I always heard everyone say, well, the best way to build wealth is buying property. Didn't know a thing about property investing. I just went and listened to the estate agent. The estate agent said to me, "Jade, here we go. This is a good deal." Lekker. No, the agent must know what he's talking about. Mind you, it was one of my best mates that sold me that property, but it was a decent deal for, I'd say, a normal investor that wants to wait 20 years to make money. Okay, that's not what I'm doing now. I want to buy properties where I'm making money from day one. And believe you me, we can do that in South Africa. So many people, and you've probably heard it, have said, listen, South Africa, you can't buy positive cash flowing properties from day one. That's an absolute lie. You just need to know where to look and how to negotiate those deals. Okay, so that deal, I actually lost 3,000 Rand every single month. After the levies, the rates and taxes, the maintenance, my bond, I got 100% bond. I was paying in 3,000 Rand every single month to own that property. Now, that's almost a liability. Steve, you were talking about assets and liabilities. That's the liability. It's taking money out of your pocket. And you're going to have to wait many, many years before you turn that into a positive cash flowing asset. Okay, and that's where I want to teach you guys how not to do that. Okay, so I've burnt my fingers. I've gone through that process. And in 2017, I attended a 2-day workshop where there was a company based in the UK. They came to South Africa and explained to us how to buy properties creatively, off market, from motivated sellers, below market value. And they showed us these examples, and I was just starstruck. I was like, this is actually what I want to do with my life. And that day I signed up for a coaching package, put 50,000 Rand down on my credit card. Steve, I told this story at Build, and it was probably the best investment I've ever made. Okay, not even my properties that I've bought is a better investment than that, because this coach literally held my hand and showed me how to do this. I didn't know what to do. So he showed me over that 6-month period. I flipped my first property, made a profit, paid my credit card off, and I just kept going. And then just to fast forward a bit, within a year, that company then asked me to actually work for them. And we then traveled the country and hosted seminars, 2-day seminars on property investing. Originally, I started as one of the crew and then became a speaker. So that's a little bit of background on my journey, guys. But this is not about me. It's more about you, to see how we can move you guys forward to get the right information so you can buy your first or second or third or whatever it is investment property. So the first thing you need to do is change your mindset a little bit. Okay, and this is quite difficult to do for a lot of estate agents, especially if you've been in the game a long time, because we are trained to represent our sellers. We've got to get the best price for our sellers. We've got to list it the highest price not the highest price we can, but as much as we can sell it for, and get the best price. Even if you have a buyer or you're representing the buyer's interests, typically agents, I find, don't negotiate hard enough on behalf of the buyers, and they can get a better deal. Okay. So that's quite important. We need to start thinking like investors. So if you get your next listing and the seller calls you, says, Jeremy, I've got a property. I just lost my business. I've got a bond to pay. I've got levies to pay. I cannot pay this. I need to sell this property within the next week. I cannot hold on to it for 6 months. Okay, because the bank's going to start repossessing, credit records start getting affected. Jeremy, so if you had the knowledge of being a property investor, why would you not make an offer on that property? Nothing wrong with it. You have to disclose as an estate agent that you are an agent if you're buying a property or selling your personal property. Absolutely. You can't hide that from buyers and sellers. So you go in there, play your cards right, and you negotiate and make an offer on that property. They can either accept it or not, and you can always list the property for sale if they don't want to accept your offer. Okay. So start thinking like an investor. You might come across deals that previously you haven't thought about buying, but you could possibly purchase yourself. It's the best avenue to find deals, guys. I often get that question. Where do we find these deals, Jade? Other estate agents. 80% of my deals come from estate agents. The other 20% would come from an attorney, from a contractor, from a portfolio manager that manages sectional title schemes. There's various ways you can get off-market motivated sellers. But the best way to start is through other estate agents. All of us have good relationships with other agents. If you can tell an agent exactly what you're looking for, what price you want to buy at, what you want to do with the property, maybe you look for rundown properties from motivated sellers, they can bring you those deals before they even listed on Property 24. That's the space where we want to be operating. Before it even gets online, you want to be the only person that looks at that deal. And obviously, if you get that deal, you need to know how to run the numbers. You need to know how to structure your OTP. There's different clauses that we use as investors in the OTP to protect ourselves, to mitigate our risk. And that's another thing estate agents don't like. But if you're wearing the hat of the investor, then you have to know those clauses to protect you in the deal. Okay. So how do you start? How do you start as a property investor? So firstly, knowledge. You have to, unfortunately, get the knowledge before you just jump in and buy a property, guys. I've got some news for you. Property investing is a long-term wealth building tool, probably the best that the world's ever seen. But you have to have some patience. Okay, unless you're going for the flipping strategy, then you can make cash a bit quicker. But in my opinion, actual wealth building is done through buy and hold strategies. You've got to read some books, and I'm going to give you guys some resources as soon as I'm done that you guys can go to some websites and read some books on property investing. Literally the books I read when I got started. Then coaching. I've been coaching students or people across South Africa for the last 5 years on property investing. It's always worth having a coach who's walked that road before and can literally help you with every single transaction, analyze all the deals to make sure that you don't make mistakes. Then you need to identify an area and a strategy that you want to invest in. There's obviously many different investment strategies when it comes to property, right? There's buy to let, there's multi-lets, there's student accommodation, there's Airbnb, there's commercial, there's developments. Where do you start? You can't just go straight to developments. There's way too much risk. You need a lot of experience for that. So often a good place to start is a buy to let property. What is a buy to let property? It's essentially a property with a single tenant. So it's a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom flat, okay, at a low purchase price. So you're not taking out a 3 million rand bond and putting a lot of risk on the line. You're buying a little flat for between 500 and 1 million rand, just to cut your teeth a little bit. Okay. Or you can buy a freestanding house, rent it out to a family. Now, typically this strategy doesn't cash flow as much as student accommodation, for instance, or development or Airbnb. Those are separate strategies, but it's a good place to start, and it's the easiest type of property to purchase. So that's a starting point. Okay. Then we need to start looking at our affordability. Now, as estate agents, and Amanda's on the call and she can help us with this, but typically, because we earn commission, bond originators would look at our previous 6 months worth of commission earnings, and they'll then base the loan on that average commission that we earn. And typically our LTV is quite low. We'll get a 60% or 70% loan from the bank. Certain cases it might be more, but that's sort of what we're looking at. So if you're buying a 1 million rand property, guys, you need to have 300,000 to 400,000 rand saved up in the bank as a deposit. Okay, and that's before even your transfer costs and your bond registration costs. Not a lot of estate agents I know, unless you've been implementing Steve's bank accounts for the last 3 years, which you still should start doing now. Not many estate agents have 300,000 to 400,000 rand saved up. I don't know many. Okay, so how do we then buy property? That's quite difficult. So firstly, get the knowledge. You could save up over the coming months, save up to get a small deposit to buy your first property. Or you might have a spouse that's got a really good corporate job or a job that they get a payslip. They could then use their affordability to purchase the property, and you can buy that property together and possibly get 100% loan. Now, when you get that 100% loan, of course, now you only need 30 or 40 grand to purchase that property, right? It's only the transfer and the bond registration costs. So that's another strategy you can follow. And as you get more experience and now you start building relationship with other investors, you can start using investors' funds to purchase properties. I'm not going to recommend that on this webinar. I think it takes a long time for you to have the confidence to actually get investors investing in your deals. That's what I do. I typically don't use any of my own money to buy properties. I use investors' funds, and I would then pay them either interest or I'll give them a portion ownership in my company that I purchase in. But that's perhaps for another webinar. What I'm trying to say is there's many different ways you can actually buy property. You don't need to have all the cash. You can leverage different people, and with all our relationships in the property game, you can certainly open a lot of doors for yourself. So another scenario is obviously if you've got the cash, you can purchase a property cash, no problem. That's the easiest way and the less risky way. But what I find in property investing is if you're comfortable with leveraging money, if you're using debt in a good way, it can become your best friend. Mitigate all the risk. You can probably accelerate your property portfolio by 10 times if you are able to and willing to leverage the bank's money to make money. It's the cheapest finance you're still going to get is the bank's money, guys. But obviously, we need to understand how to do this. Okay, so a few phrases that I want you to write down. And I don't have my slides here, but a few phrases. Make money when you buy. This is something I live by. Okay, now some people frown a little bit, but do you actually make your money when you sell? No, you make your money when you purchase. On that purchase price, that's where you make your money. On the terms and on the price that you negotiate with the seller is where you make money. So typically, I would buy a property at 20% below market value. So if it's R1 million property, I'm buying for 800,000 Rand. Do you know how powerful that is, guys, if you can do deals like that? Because you've got 200,000 Rand equity sitting in that property from day one. Okay, isn't that a cha-ching, the sound of money, right? Because if anything went wrong in that deal, I can sell that property and walk away and probably still make a little bit of money. And those deals are out there. Every single day, there are deals like that out there. You just need to know how to find them and how to negotiate them. So that's your rule of thumb. You want to buy 15 to 20% below current market value. And as agents, we will know how to work out the current market value of a property. And you're going to start putting in offers. You put in cheeky offers. Unfortunately, you've got to have a thick skin and you're going to get a lot of no's. But out of 10 offers, you only need one life-changing deal, one offer to be accepted to change your life. And yeah, I'd love to talk about that more, but that's essentially what's behind property investing. If you're buying at market value, what happens if the market takes a tank or dips? What happens if that R1 million property is now worth 900,000? Now you're in trouble. Now you can't even sell the property. You know, what if you bought it 7% 2 years ago? It's now 12% interest rate. You're in a little bit of trouble, and that's why we want to buy below market value. Okay, so a few of the strategies. My favorite strategy is, and I see Heno's screen is almost ready to work there. My favorite strategy, guys, is installment sales. So go study installment sale agreements. You can get the seller to play the bank. The seller can finance a property for you. If you can't get financing, why not get the seller to play the bank? So there's two ways, and I'll just touch on this very briefly because there's a lot of detail and a lot of legalities when it comes to installment sales. But if the seller has a bond over their property, you can essentially take over the monthly payment of that bond. The property remains in the seller's name. You sign an installment sale agreement with that seller where you pay them off over 5 years. And you can then refinance after 5 years, or you could buy out the portion of the bond that's still left after 5 years. It's essentially free financing, guys. Now, often there might be a small deposit involved, depends what you negotiate. The other type of installment sale, if there's no bond over the property, you can literally take ownership of that property and register a bond in the seller's name and pay the seller off over a 5-year period. Now, what does that do? It gives you the opportunity to build up a deposit because every single month you're paying the seller. Once you get to year 5, you've got a much smaller bond to get, and you've got 5 years to get your financing in place. It's one of the most amazing strategies, and most people don't actually know that this exists or know that they can use it. I'm literally busy right now purchasing a commercial property that I cannot afford the bond. I cannot get a 35,000 Rand a month bond, but I got the seller to actually finance the deal. So as an estate agent, and for some of the letting agents out there, here's a strategy that you can implement straight away. Why don't you find a tenant that's a good paying tenant that you already know and have a good relationship with? You can go purchase a property and place them in that property. Now you've got a really good tenant in your investment property from the get-go. So what did I do? I found a national tenant that was willing to sign a 5-year lease agreement on a building, and I then made an offer to purchase the building. So now I've got a 5-year lease agreement with a national tenant. I'm paying the seller off over 5 years. And guess what a commercial bank's going to say to me in 5 years' time with a national tenant in that building? They're going to say, Jade, here we go. There's your finance. Happy to finance you. Okay, so that's just to give you an idea, guys. We want to think a little bit outside of the box because there's different ways of buying properties. Then just briefly, my last 2 points. I know we pushed for time here, is structure. Now, I'm not an attorney or an accountant, so please make sure before you buy investment property number 2, 3, 4, 5 that you speak to professionals before you invest in property. Because this is the space where we want to start opening companies to purchase properties and perhaps even opening a trust to invest in property. A lot of guys that I see what they do, they open a trust where the trust holds the shares in a company and the properties are owned by the company. Okay. Now, one interesting fact about companies is that you could probably get 3 to 4 times more financing in a company than you can get in your personal name. Did you guys know that? So in your personal name, this is where a lot of investors get stuck. They buy property number 1, their personal residence. Now they go to property number 2, and they maybe will get to property number 3. The bank comes says, Jade, sorry, we can't finance you anymore because you've got 3 bonds. You've got no affordability, so you might need to wait another year before we can finance you. If you're buying in an entity, you can actually leverage the banks and you can get bonds from each bank going forward. So it's a really, really interesting way of growing your portfolio quickly, but please make sure that you get the right advice. Don't just go out and open companies and trusts now. You need to follow the right advice, and experts need to give that to you. We always talk about a power team. Property investing is certainly not a one-man show. You need people around you that have got skills that you don't have. An architect, a builder, a town planner, a really good attorney, an accountant that understands property taxes specifically. Once you have that team around you, property investing becomes less risky. Okay, so you want to start building your power team. Okay, and then the OTP, the most important document in property investing is the OTP. The clauses that we put in the OTP are absolutely essential. Guys, just briefly on that, the first clause that I'll always add something to or delete is the mortgage bond clause. I will always put there, to cover myself, I'll always put there that an offer of finance from a bank needs to be acceptable to the purchaser. Now, what does that do? It leaves a back door open for me. If I get an offer from a bank that I'm not happy with, let's say it's prime plus 2, I can walk away from the deal. Now, once again, we're wearing 2 hats here. The estate agents in the room, the first reaction is, oh, I don't like that. I hate that when people do that. Okay, we're wearing the investor's hat now, guys, right? We're investors now. We want to protect ourselves, and you've got every right to change the OTP to suit us because we're making the offer. Okay, so I might be challenging some thought patterns here and making some people angry, but that's the truth of it. You've got to protect yourself as an investor. And then one clause that I also always put in special conditions is a due diligence period. So if I'm buying a property, I want to have 5 or 10 or 15 days, sometimes even 30 to 60 days if it's a development, so that I can analyze the deal. I want to get my contractor into the property. I want to speak to my accountant. I want to speak to my attorney. I want to speak to my power team before I make this call. Maybe I'm even raising finance from some of my investors to pull this deal off. I don't have to disclose what I'm going to do in the due diligence study, but I've got, say, 10 days to pull the trigger on the deal. And here's the special thing. I always get the offer accepted before I do my due diligence. Because once you have the accepted offer, guys, now you can go to your team and say, hey, there's my architect. He's not going to charge me because he knows I've got the deal. They're not just coming in to do a quote for nothing. I've got an accepted offer, and that makes it a lot easier for me to then go and raise funds from investors or get everything in place to make sure that I'm buying the right deal. Okay, so that's quite a mouthful. And obviously, I could probably talk about this the whole day, guys, but hopefully that has helped you a little bit, just to point you in the right direction to say, okay, let me work on saving up some money for a deposit, or let me speak to my spouse while I get the right knowledge before I buy a property. So please don't just go out and buy. Make sure you get the right advice. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to post a website address in the chat box, if that's okay with you, Steve, where people can go. It's sapropertynetwork.com.
Right.
I'm involved with the SA Property Network. We're the biggest property investors network in South Africa. And there are various memberships on that website that you can look at. There's even a free membership. So at the very least, go sign up for a free membership. You get access to an accelerator course, which is a really basic course on property investing. And over the next couple of months, you can then start scaling up to the other memberships, which gives you different tools and that's going to help you on your property investing journey. I also put my personal website on there. So if you guys want to touch base with me after this, please feel free to reach out to me. Steve, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Brilliant, Jade. Absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure that there are many cogs spinning and a lot of people inspired by what you've said today. Really exciting journey. It kind of strikes me that behind the door, if you walk through the door that Jade has invited us to walk through today, there's going to be a whole world of complexity and a lot of things to learn, but it's an exciting journey to go on. And Jade, congratulations on the success that you've had in it. Well done, man.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you
so
very
guys,
much.
please do look at Jade's, if you want to just paste those in again, Jade, you're welcome to, because when the chat roll goes, they kind of disappear.
Steve, sorry, man, just to stop you there was 2 resources I didn't share. It's 2 books. The first one that started my whole journey, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, guys. That's what literally started my journey. The second one is a South African-based author, Jason Lee, Making Money Out of Property in South Africa. He's got 3 different books, and if you can see that, he's got 3 different books, and they are absolutely essential to read, in my opinion. So thanks for that.
Super. Will you put the names of those books in the chat as well, Jade?
100%.
Thank you.
Sure.
Jeremy, you've got a question.
It was more just a statement. Thank you very much, Jade. You've touched on so much. You mentioned cog spinning. I've got a lot of cog spinning, and I feel that we really need more time with Jade, if that is possible, Stephen and Jade. But great presentation, and I'm looking forward to hearing more.
Super. Good feedback, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you. Yeah, that's why I've got this idea of doing a full webinar just on property investment with Jade and another partner. I think it's going to be awesome. Okay, guys, let's move on to our final segment with Heno and Jean. Heno, I see you. Did you get your? Yeah, we go. You got it.
Yeah, is it working?
Yeah, we got it. Perfect.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. And I mean, if all else fails, you Google something, and then if you don't get the answer on Google, you restart your computer, then it actually works. So from our side, I mean, John, me and myself, we just want to thank you for your time, and thanks for the invite, Steve. Jade, my story is going to lead perfectly to you. And Sean, I mean, you're sitting in Champagne. I'm going to tell you a story about a place in France as well that you can go and visit. But we want to chat to you guys about why you want to consider independent contract with Old Mutual, and we'll get into what an independent contract is. And we believe there's value in it. And if you bring all of these stories that Steve's got together for us, you most definitely will have success. But I want to start with my dream. I mean, this is something on my vision board, but I want to take you guys back to 1999, where my financial journey started. And Steve, you asked the question right in the beginning. I mean, how much did your parents teach you about finances? I think my mom missed the boat somewhere, because what happened was I was supposed to cut the grass for $50, and I actually did a conversion in today's value that would have been about 170 Rand. So that's how she made money out of me. But I didn't like cutting grass. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to make a different plan. So I always got somebody in to come and cut the grass for $35. I made myself $15. When mom got home, she was happy with me. Now, the moment I started realizing that I can actually get somebody else to do the job while I'm still making a profit, a lot changed for me as well. And if I look at the picture, this is just my dream picture of when I retire, where do I want to be? Maybe it's I want a farm. Maybe I want to go to Saint-Emilion in Paris again to go and do the wine tasting. Whatever this picture looks like for you, is what we want to try and help you, and that's everyone's journey here. So the first kind of questions that I've got for you is to say, are you providing advice, and are you accredited to provide advice as part of your profession? The answer is most probably no. I mean, this is our game, and Jade spoke about how do you get this power team behind you, and we believe if you partner with us, you're going to create this power team. The second question is, would you like to diversify your current income streams? I mean, this is why you're on the call, so that's a definite yes, I want to do that. Do you want your customer to have an enhanced value proposition with industry-leading resources? Who wouldn't want to do that? And then lastly, I want to get to what is an independent contractor. Now, this independent contractor, the simplest way I can explain to you is it's a referral mechanism where your customer gets great advice and you get rewarded for that. So you partner with us, you refer your customer to us, we give great advice, and you get rewarded for that. And we want to delve a little bit into that. Why does it make sense to consider this independent contract? Well, firstly, there's legislative and advice risk. So like Jade mentioned, speak to the professionals in the specific area. We are the professionals in the legislative and advice risk area. I'm going to delve more into diversified income. Then we know there's homeowners content plus bond cover. That is what you guys can refer your customers to. We've got access to specialists, whether it's trust, estate, or retirement planning specialists. And then I also want to touch briefly on how can you help your customer to actually have succession planning in place to have businesses throughout the generations. But I hope that you are as excited about the diversified income one as we get. And I did a quick check about how much actually commission have we paid out. We've paid out more than 50 million commission to independent contractors. That's your portion in the last 5 years. So for me, for the group of us sitting here on this call, is to say, how can I get my hands on a pot of the 50 million? And that's what today is all about. So you refer a customer and you get rewarded for that. So let's take an example, and we can ask John Louis some questions right at the end about how the commission split would work. But as an example, John Louis said I must bring in, let's say for argument's sake, you refer 5 leads a month, and they typically work on 1,500 Rand. That is mainly for car and building. There's a commission part that John Louis and his practice get, and then he splits a commission part to you. So how would that look? So if we start after 12 months, if you do this on a continuous basis, obviously there's higher premiums and lower premiums. But after 12 months, you could be sitting at the recurring income of 4,050 Rand for doing absolutely nothing. But 4,050 after 12 months might not be the be all and end all for you. But the longer this relationship continues, obviously we expect more leads coming through, but let's stick on 5 leads a month and you build a relationship with a practice. After 5 years, you're going to sit at least 20,000 Rand per month in your pocket, where you don't have to do anything. That just happens automatically every month. And that doesn't even take into account premium escalations. The moment premium escalations increase, so does your fee increase. So that's the first part, just from a short-term point of view. But obviously, you can refer big companies to us. We can do succession planning. We can do your business insurance, your buy and sell. We can do personal cover. I'm even happy to bring Steve in. Steve, I don't know if you're willing to. Let me put you on the spot as well.
Yeah.
I saw the video that you did for John Louis. Maybe you can just give a brief view of that.
Yeah, so I'd have to share my screen to play the video, but you'll find it on John's Facebook page. But what actually happened was I said to him, look, if I'm going to be opening the door to my whole EXP group to you guys, I'd like a personal experience of your service. So it was kind of like a due diligence from my side. So I said to Jean, okay, let's look at my house contents. So we were insured with First for Women, and we were paying 11,500 Rand a month was our premium. So that covered all the house contents and 4 cars that we've got with my kids' cars and my mountain bikes, which are expensive. So 11.5 grand a month. So Jean said to me, no problem, send me the schedule. I downloaded the schedule from the First for Women website. I sent it to Jean. Within 24 hours, he got back to me, gone through the whole schedule piece by piece, and he had a comparison product that he sent me. And he showed me the comparison on all the major metrics. So they got my premium down from 11.5 to 6,500 Rand. So we're saving 5 grand a month now, just by moving our insurance to Old Mutual. The excess on our vehicles was, Sean, you'll tell me, it was like 11,000 and it's got down to 3,000 or something.
It was 11.5 and it came down to 2,500. Yeah.
So I mean that is massive. Just the excess. If I crash the car, down to 2.5. I no longer have to specify items. So every time I got a new mountain bike or a new piece of jewelry or a new cell phone for one of my kids, we had to specify that with First for Women, and then the premium goes up. Premium goes up. With the product that you guys have got me, we don't have to specify anything. And the global cover, which was, I think, 1.5 million with First for Women, has gone up to 2.5 million that I'm covered for with Old Mutual. So I am, to tell you I'm a happy customer is an understatement. I knew that the John would sharpen the pencil for me, but I was blown away by the service, by the quality of the product, and by the low premiums. And so I quite happily get you guys to speak to our, obviously my agents and all of their clients. We're quite happy for you to do that. So thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Steve.
Thank you, Steve. That brings us to the value proposition. What can you offer to your customers? So then you don't ask for something, you actually offer something. And part of that enhanced value proposition, getting this dream team together, is we do financial planning, so we can do tax effective estate planning, retirement vehicles, the appropriate retirement vehicles. I mean, there's lots of new legislation coming in with 2-part next year. Who's the expert? We are the expert to actually chat to us. And then on the other hand, this perfect balance that we always try and create between wealth creation and wealth protection. And if I just use a picture, this financial plan, in a perfect world, you want to have that balance, because yes, we all focus and we want to focus on this building wealth and creating wealth. But on the other hand, we need to look at how can we actually protect that wealth. And John Louis gets that balance perfectly for his customers. Then I just want to mention the resources. So again, like if you partner with the right dream team, John Louis also partners with the right dream team, and that's all his risk specialist and investment specialist. So what we offer then is industry leading expert estate planning experts, and that is the best legal advisors in the industry that actually help with complex estate planning. Plus, obviously, we bring in the healthcare, employee benefits, short-term, or like most of you will probably know, the Homeowners Association, risk cover, whether it's your bond cover or personal cover or business cover, investment solutions, and the proper retirement vehicles that you can use with it. So that's some of the resources that we bring in. And lastly, I just want to something for you to think about it, as well as for your bigger customers. And maybe there's a customer in a farm, like my picture that I shared, or maybe it is just a customer that wants to make sure that there's succession planning in place. We do the succession planning as well. We ask the question, is your buy and sell structured correctly? When last have you reviewed that? Business contingency, so the loan cover, is there cover that the banks require, and is there perhaps a key person in the company that we need to look at? If you want to write down 2 questions, and this, John Louis, I'm going to steal your thunder here, but in the last session that John Louis and myself did, somebody asked, but what question do I ask my customer to get you in front of them? And I just absolutely love it. You can ask your customer, are you claim ready? Are you claim ready? And if you think about that, the customer realizes then at that point in time, if something should happen to me, will I be covered? Will I be sufficiently covered? What is going to happen to my spouse? Will they know, is there a will and testament in place? Will they know where to go? So that's from a personal cover. I think it's a fantastic question, John Lee. And then another question, especially when we think about succession planning, that you can ask for your business customers is, does your business have a will? Does your business have a will? And the moment that somebody's going to hear that question, he or she's going to sit and think, but what does that mean? And that just effectively means, is your buy and sell structured correctly? What is going to happen to your company? What is the will and the wishes of your company when you or one of the partners should pass away? So with that, I mean, diversified income for me is the best benefit for you from an independent contractor point of view. But as part of that, you know that you're going to get good advice from our team, because you actually partner with Old Mutual and we cover the advice risk thing. You get the knowledge and the credible business partners. I've spoken about all the resources. And then very importantly is that you partner with Old Mutual in a legal contract. So with that, I just want to leave you with my picture in mind. I'm doing my bit to actually create this diversified income stream at the side. So if my planning goes well, I'll be sitting on my farm, most probably in Franschhoek, and going to visit France as well every now and again to have some wine. I absolutely love that. What's next for you? So you can scan the QR code and you can sign up as an independent contractor, or at least have the conversation with John Louis. And maybe, John Louis, if I can just bring you into the picture here as well. I've got 2 or 3 questions that I want to ask you. Let me stop sharing.
Before you get to that question, thanks, Henu. So I think quite important as well, what Henu mentioned with Claim Ready. It's not just on your risk cover or on your business cover, even on your short-term cover, especially with the new rules on power surge and so forth, accidental damage. Is that in your schedule? Are you covered? Do you have worldwide cover for those of us who travel? So yeah, quite important for a client to understand Claim Ready, and are they Claim Ready? It doesn't help that you pay for a product, but you're not covered in the event of anything occurring. So quite important.
Thanks, John. Anyone can put up hands if they want, but I mean, my opening question to you, John Louis, would be, you heard, so hopefully you can see I'm passionate about Old Mutual and the resources and the support that we can offer there. We've briefly explained the IC concept. It's a referral mechanism. You are one of the top 5 practices in South Africa. So my question would be, why would the people on the call want to partner with Van der Riel and Associates?
Sure, that was actually going to be my answer, because we're a top 5 practice. I'm joking. So yeah, definitely, guys, to obviously ring-fence your clients and your business, and also to expand your business. So when I started out 12 years ago, I came here, I was this youngster of 23 years old, and I didn't know what side I'm going to go to. And I just started believing in consistency, and you need to put money or make some money to invest and obviously get your brand out there. And this gives the opportunity to earn an additional income, an annuity income, and a once-off commission. To give an example, I'm busy with a buy and sell now, and the total premium per month is 20,000. If that is a lead from an agent, your commission on there is 50,000 up front and 12,500 second year com, and about 3,500 each year, growing as the premium escalates. So just imagine doing 10 of that in a year. If you work in the commercial industry or with business clients, that's quite a good additional income. So yeah, that's basically why I would say Van der Riel and Associates. And we're also the biggest practice working with independent contractors at the moment in Old Mutual.
Yeah, and I'm pretty safe to say that you are also the youngest top 25 advisor.
Yeah,
well done, and you know the most about rugby. Another question that I want to ask you. I mean, you've done really. I think a lot of your success actually came from independent contractors, and then partnering with them. You are most definitely the advisor in Old Mutual that's got the most ICs on book. But which industries actually work the best for you to partner with?
Yeah, and so definitely estate agents, and I'm sure that's why we're here, bond originating companies. And I like quite a lot what Sean mentioned, the independents. And as well, just remember, guys, if you refer a client to, let's say, Better Life, or which is Mortgage Max, or Uber, they do the insurance, they get the com, and you get nothing of the pie. So, and also what we do is when we do a quote for a client, we don't just split on the bond cover or on the building, we split on the whole package. There's no one out there that I'm aware of that does that, guys. So you get 30% or 25% of the whole pie, whereby, for an example, if you were sending it to Uber or Better Life, you would have only got the content or the building or whatever they sold, or the bond cover itself. So that's quite important. And then obviously we work with conveyancers, developers, and then also a lot of accountants. So there's a big need for business over there. And then we also quite honored to say we the one of 5 financial planning practices under my players fund. So yeah, I got clients playing for Japan, Springboks, Stormers, Bulls, Sharks. That's all on my books as well, and that's also trusting in us to look after their financial finances.
Fantastic. Thanks, John. I see you get a couple of hand claps there, so thanks everyone for joining. Is there a question, Steve? Do you want to run if there's a specific question?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Heno. And thank you so much for your participation. We really value our relationship with you guys. Thank you. I think Richard Coca, thank you, Richard. If I'm assuming that link you've put in the chat roll, yes, it is. Okay, so although we don't have the QR code on the screen anymore, you can click the link that Richard put in the chat roll and it'll take you to that page. So practically speaking, just to make sure everyone understands, if you want to take advantage of this opportunity with Old Mutual and with Real, you have to sign up as an independent contractor. There's a little process you go through, and I think you need to get your fingerprints done. And Jean, can you just run us through what the actual practical is?
Yeah, of course, Steve. So obviously you'll have to do fingerprints because obviously we are a financial services provider. So we need to check with who we're working. And obviously there's no criminal records or anything like that. And then obviously it will be 3 supporting documents, which is your income tax number, your copy of your ID in color, and then also your bank statement, where we will obviously provide you with a payment. The payment happens the 3rd working day of every month. And then obviously it's a contract. So it's 2 contracts. It's a booklet and then the IC agreement. And the whole process takes you about 10 to 15 minutes. So yeah, and I know there's quite a few EXP agents up in Joburg, Steve. So we will be going out there still this year to go and see them and get them signed up. Yeah.
And at the Build Conference. So if you come to the Build Conference in May, Real and Associates have sponsored the VIP room again, and they will have their team there with their fingerprint scanner, the whole deal. So yes, Noreen, at the Build Conference. I want to close this one out, and obviously, John, you're welcome to share anything else that's on your mind. But guys, just understand there is a natural door that opens every time you do a property transaction to ask both buyer and the seller, because the seller is normally going and buying somewhere else, about the bond cover. Because if I understand the rules, John, correct me if I'm wrong, if you take out a bond, you have to have insurance on that bond. And that's like the natural open door that there is for every single transaction you ever do, well, pretty much most of them. Yeah. And once that door is open, and all you have to say to your client is, do yourself a favor, just compare what Better Bond or the bond origination business, whatever that's working with the client is offering, compare it with what Old Mutual are offering, just so that, because we've had a lot of success with Old Mutual. And then what John and his team do is they will then cross-sell the client and then say, well, let's look at your short-term insurance, let's look at your house contents insurance, let's look at your life cover again. And then they get into conversations about business. John and his team are doing all that work, and you're getting paid on all of it. You can just open the door through a very natural discussion around the bond cover and potentially like home content insurance.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Just to add on that, so under boarding, if it's a freestanding house, obviously they need to have boarding. They, as the client, can obviously decide either the bank or Uber or whoever gives the best quote and the most comprehensive. What I always explain to the client when I'm with the client as well, Uber or a Better Life, you're just a quantity, you're just a number. So you don't have a financial planner allocated to you, looking after your needs and doing holistic planning. So you just get a quote and you pay, and maybe you don't even have power surge or accidental damage on the property. So it's important to get the right advice and obviously pay the most comprehensive or most affordable premium at the same time. Obviously, I won't say we will always be more affordable because it obviously depends on your claims and so forth. But on average, we save clients about 40%. So I had a client yesterday paying 1,300 with another insurance provider for just the vehicle. And we've added contents, because when you add contents to a vehicle, you can save up to an additional 25%. A lot of people is not aware of that. Client is paying 562, access was 6,000, access came down to 0 access with us. So it's also almost a similar saving to your one, just a smaller installment. But yeah, that was about 65% saving per month.
Sorry, just sharing my screen. So guys, that wraps it up for today. I want to again thank Sean Rodemeyer from MultiNET. We appreciate our relationship with you guys. You've done a great job. Thank you, Amanda. I know you're on the call. Thank you, Jade. Fascinating stuff on property investment. Look forward to picking that up in another webinar. Hino and John, thank you so much for what you guys bring as well. We appreciate you. And then, guys, if you are here as a guest, you're not part of my EXP team, just do yourself a favor. Just once in your life, go to the Model Explained website, watch that 59-minute video, because you're going to get excited about the other 3 sources of income that EXP agents have. Probably a better split, more money on their commissions, stock awards in the company, and what can become a financially liberating share of the revenues of EXP that you can build up that gets paid as a passive income. So check out the video, and I hope that little diagram on the screen has opened your mind to the possibilities of becoming more organized towards your approach to financial freedom in the future. So God bless you guys. Have a wonderful day further. Enjoy the rugby on Saturday. I trust we are going to smash the English and then smash the All Blacks the following week. And yeah, Sean, enjoy the games, whatever you're going to watch. So thank you all. God bless you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Guys.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Right.